baby.
Oh, I love cats so much. Okay, I'm just going to check our group and make sure that we are live and that I can see us.
There's just, yeah, that's just going to be there the whole time.
All I can see is toe beans. There we are. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, Joey. So thank you for joining me. We've done a few of these chats, and this one is one that I'm really excited for because there are so many things that I think that we need to debunk about Etsy. And I'm really excited to do that with you. I'm going to pull up my notes. So don't mind my printer just going off there. Hey guys, I can see your comments. If you have a question for Joey, feel free to, all the toe beans, feel free to ask them in the comments and we will get through them the best that we can. And then we'll take those questions at the end of the live. Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay. So how many of you guys, we've got about 100 people watching. And drop me a heart emoji if you have an Etsy shop currently. And then I'm going to bring up our notes. Okay, so your shop, Joey, has been super successful, and it's been really exciting to kind of go through that journey with you when you hit your first 100, when you hit your first 1,000 sales, and then all the way up to your over 5,000 sales now. And we share those celebrations in the admin chat that we have, and it's been really exciting to watch you really grow this business. So my first question is, what made you decide to open up your Etsy shop?
When I first started, I was making hats and signs and shirts and a lot of the same things that I think our members make. And I just wanted to make awesome things for other people. I truly thought I could do it, and I wanted to share awesome things that I made and make some money and stay home.
Yeah.
Because mama wants to be at home.
That's the truth. And especially right now in this time that we're living in, there's so many creators that are at home that would normally be away from the home creating. So I'm just going to go off. I'm going to go rogue for a minute. And I'm going to say so many people say that they're afraid to open up an Etsy shop because it's oversaturated, or there's too many creators on there, or there's too many things alike. But like we've talked about in my other lives, is no matter how you do things, you cannot replicate the same thing twice, and two creators cannot create the same exact thing. So what would you say to somebody that, what encouragement would you give to somebody that keeps hearing the market is oversaturated?
Everybody say hi to Fisher.
Fisher.
What I would say is, okay, bye then. I would say don't let that get you down, because you don't have to depend on Etsy as a marketplace. I think a ton of people get that way and they're like, well, Etsy is so saturated, but don't count on Etsy to make you special. You need to make you special. You need to grow your own community and have your own thing, and whatever makes you special can make you stand out. Even if you're making a shirt that says mom, if you make it differently than somebody else and you market it differently and you hold it out differently and you act differently, then Etsy takes a back seat. Don't let Etsy try to make you special, because it won't. There's a million things that are exactly the same. But if you can be special and hold yourself out like that and advertise for yourself and take charge of it, then you tell Etsy what to do. Etsy doesn't tell your customers what to do.
That's really good advice. So what advice would you give to somebody to make their shop stand out from the others?
One thing I would say to everybody when you get started, develop an identity. This is super hard for some people because we just want to be like, we want to be liked. We want to be widely accepted. We want to be, almost everybody starts out the same way where they want everybody to buy their products. But that's not a way to go about it. If you develop that identity, you set yourself apart from the very beginning, and be consistent, have good branding, have a logo that is easily remembered, have a name, a nickname for your customers. I feel like that's such a dumb thing, but it's so important.
Yeah.
You would be amazed. Sorry about that. I literally just got an Etsy sale.
So that's what you'll hear when you get an Etsy sale.
Yes, it sounds like a little cash register, and my kid dances to it every single time she hears it. But once you have an identity, everything else consistent falls in line, and it makes such a pretty business. It makes such a pretty picture.
That's really
sets
good
you
advice.
off right. It makes you look professional.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you have to brand yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to be the ideal of what your business is. You have to have an ideal customer, which is hard to set out in the beginning, but you have to have a clear idea of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and who you're going to be.
Yeah, I like that a lot. But also you have to look at your storefront. So what advice would you give to optimizing the best? Because I know that you've gone through and redone your storefront 2, 3, 25 times. Because you're such a perfectionist with your Etsy shop, with even down to the way it looks, just the thumbnails. So tell me what advice you would give to somebody as far as setting up the Etsy shop look.
It kind of goes along with the same thing of having that identity. Once you have a setup for your pictures, because pictures are super duper important. No matter what you sell, pictures are important. Pictures are going to be key. They're going to be one of the most important things you can do. So if you can do them consistently in an attractive, well-lit way, awesome. I'm all digital now, so I have to have one consistent background, and I've gone through 15 million of them, like you said, because I was like, I want a ton of color, I want a ton of shapes, I want it to be abstract art, and none of that really worked until I got one consistent background and one consistent color palette and showed it, and now it looks so much better. If your storefront looks good, everything else will go smoother.
I agree. I think that you have to have that aesthetic. It's almost like just window shopping. Like it matters, or the outside of a book. It matters what you look like on the outside to draw them into your shop and get to shopping.
Yep. That whole don't judge a book by its cover thing totally does not play well here. You want to have the best cover that you can. If you hear that noise, it's my cat. He's mad because I put him down.
That's okay. Don't worry.
He does not understand Facebook Lives. He's just mad. But yeah, you want an attractive cover because it's the same as food. If food comes out and it looks incredible, it automatically tastes better. We eat with our eyes first, and it's the same thing with shopping. We shop with our eyes way before we ever get it into our hands.
Yeah, that's really true. So what was, as long as you've had your Etsy shop, what's the most difficult obstacle that you have overcame?
Personally, I had a lot of imposter syndrome, and that's basically a term that says even when you're doing well, even when things are logically going well and you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing and you're doing it right, you still have that little voice in the back of your head that says, yeah, but we're not a real artist. We're not a real designer. We're doing great, but it's not real yet. We're not like a serious store. And I'm a very confident person, so having those doubts about myself was weird.
Yeah.
And it was weird to come to terms with. and it still kind of gets me some days. But it's so important to get past it because confidence is key. If you can't be confident, it's not going to work out because you have to have your own back. So I had to kind of grow that, and it's a slow, hard process because people are mean, and there's legitimately people that just don't want to see other people do good.
Yeah.
So coming to terms with that and realizing that I might not be the best artist in the world, but that's okay. I'm a real artist. I might not have the most successful Etsy shop in the world, but that's okay. I'm still in the top 1%. I'm still doing good. I'm still a real shop, and it matters.
Yeah.
And coming to terms with that has made everything else so much smoother for me personally.
Yeah.
It was a real uphill battle there for a little bit.
Yeah, and I remember you had days of maybe I shouldn't have the shop. Maybe I should take this a different direction. Maybe I should. But I think that, Jennifer Maker said that the most success comes from just perseverance, just continuing to do, even if you doubt yourself, just continuing to do that. So out of this whole entire live, we still have some questions to go. I just want anybody that is listening right now to know that if you have the drive, the will, and the want to open up an Etsy shop, open up an Etsy shop. Two, isn't there, this is kind of a side topic, but isn't there a way like where you could find a friend, or, you could even reach out to Joey if you don't have a friend that has an Etsy shop, or if you don't want a friend to know that you're having an Etsy shop, you can get free listings, right? If you have, how many is it?
It is 40.
Is it 40? I thought, okay. That's a lot.
It's 40.
Okay.
And that person who shares their link with you also gets 40 listings. It's a really cool program.
That is a good program. I didn't know that.
That's all of your real upfront costs with an Etsy shop. When you set up Etsy, you don't actually have to spend any money except for your listing fees. And however many that is however many you're going to pay. It is 20 cents per listing, which, total random note here. If I could give anybody one super important thing, read the handbook. Read the handbook, read the handbook, read the handbook, and then read it again. If you don't read anything else, just read the pricing. Read the handbook. It's super important. But
I've never heard anybody say that. That's good advice.
You'll get 40 free listings, and you don't have to use them all at one time. If you list 2 things and those 2 things sell each time, it'll use up your listings until they're gone. You can use them however you want to use them.
That's a lot of listings. 40 is a lot.
I think I'm terrible at math, but it's like $8 worth, which is, it's not a ton, but it's enough for you to kind of
get started. Yeah.
Pulling the bike by yourself and kind of figuring it out.
Yeah. So would you say, like, starting out, let's say that I have 5 items and 5 really good photos. Should I go ahead and list those 5, or should I wait until I have 25? Or does it matter?
Some people will tell you that there's like definite little perks to waiting, and some people will say just upload them all. I personally just go with the flow. If I want to upload more things all at once, I do. I have personally found that I feel like that there's no proof that this is true at all.
This is just from Joey's head.
Yes, this is just my intuition. I feel like I do better on days when I've uploaded. And there is some kind of anecdotal evidence that when you interact with the site, you get more listing, like algorithm hits.
Yeah.
That there's nothing that says that playing out, but there is some there's another one. There's some data for that says that might be true, and I personally feel that way. So if you did stagger it, there might be some perks if you also feel that way. But I just, if you don't have anything, get it all up there. Get it all done.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You can, either way, I haven't ever noticed that when I put a bunch of stuff up, it suffers any more or less. I just feel like when you can upload a listing on a random day, it's just a little bit of salt on top, and
right,
a little extra special.
So that's probably like the social media algorithm, and it's probably like they know that you're a real shop if you're interacting, if you're uploading, if you're making sales, if you're just like a social media. Let's take Instagram for instance. I'll be at the top of your feed the more that you interact with my posts, the more that you like or comment or shoot me a message. You're more likely to see from me because they know that I'm a real person versus rather something that's not active. So I could absolutely see why that would make sense as far as being active on Etsy.
There is some, I keep saying that, anecdotal evidence, but there is some that suggests that everybody on Etsy has what they call a citizen score, which is kind of just a culmination of everything. It's how you shop, it's how you act in your own shop, it's how you treat sellers, it's how you treat buyers, it's your reviews, it's your shipping, it's everything all rolled together.
Yeah.
And if that's good, you get higher search. There's no way to prove that this is completely true, but everything that I've researched agrees. And I've just found that I do better when I interact more, when I check stuff off as shipped, when I'm uploading more, when I'm just kind of more active in general. All of it all counts.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What tips do you have to get the most exposure from your listings or your shop?
I feel like nobody ever wants to hear this answer, but don't pay Etsy. Don't join the subscription. Don't even consider, don't even think about paid ads in the beginning. They're not what you need, and they're not going to work for you anyway. When you want to start doing your exposure, you want to do two main things. You want to, one, get to know your audience, get to know your ideal customer. This sounds super complicated if you don't know who it is, but I feel like if you just sit down and identify who that is, and be super specific, get weird, do it. When I think about my ideal customer, I think of a woman who's in her 20s to 30s. She probably has a dog. She might have a cat. She has some kids. She's got a Ouija board stashed in the top of her closet. She doesn't mess with it very much, but she's got it. And I think of all these things, and I'm like, okay, I know how to talk to her because I know who she is.
Yeah.
And being in communities where I get to engage with people who do purchase from me and people who do buy has taught me how to talk to them, which then rolls into the second thing: grow your own community. Yeah. It is super important. Some people prefer a page, some prefer a group, some prefer an Instagram, some prefer a Pinterest, some prefer a YouTube channel. There's 10 different ways. You can do them all. You can do one, you can do two. Yeah. But grow that community, engage with your customers, treat them like people, not like numbers, and you'll just grow more and more loyal customers, and loyal customers talk about you. And somebody saying, I bought from Joey and she was wonderful and her item was great, is 10,000 times more valuable than a paid Etsy spot. 1,000,000 to 1. It'll be so much more valuable. And then when your listings are working, when they're pulling their own weight, when they're making sales by themselves, and their algorithm checks out, then do paid ads. It's like putting high-tech Nikes on a professional runner. It's going to make them perform just a little bit better. Yeah. But if you put high-tech Nikes on Joe down the street, he's most likely not going to notice a difference. You gotta make sure your stuff's up to date and doing its own stuff by itself. Those two things, you'll never have to depend on advertising and stuff like that if you just take control and do it yourself. Don't depend on Etsy. That sounds really snarky, but it's just true. Don't depend on the marketplace.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, too, it goes back to the imposter syndrome. I think that you have to, like you said, brand yourself and market yourself. Like you said, no matter what social media platform you have, post what you've got going on and let them know, because they may not know to go to your Etsy shop that you have a new listing, or that you have something new going on or a sale. But if you have those social media platforms and you have that community, then you're more likely to get interaction with that.
Mm-hmm. And you'll always have a reliable way to reach your customers for more than just sales too. You can ask them questions. You can get their input on things. I mean, they're the ones that you want them to be engaged because they're the ones that are paying for things. You want to make sure that you're staying in tune with what they actually need. It's super intimidating at first, but once you kind of get it and make friends, it smooths itself out. It gets easier the more confident you get in it.
And there's Facebook groups out there, right, too, about learning how to run your Etsy shop, and they give really good advice. So they could you gotta take it all in.
Be discerning about Etsy groups. They're not all bad. Some of them are great. Some of them are terrifying. Some of them hate Etsy. And some of them, everything is the absolute worst thing that has ever happened. And you gotta listen to people who are telling you what sucks, because some things do, and it's smart to know when something isn't right.
Yeah.
But those, don't take everything they're saying as like Bible law.
Yeah.
Because it's not. Some of them are just terrified of everything.
Yeah. And what works for you may not work for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
So we're just going to scratch the surface of SEO, because this is something that we could talk about for 10 days solid. But if you will just say somebody is starting out on Etsy and they have no idea what SEO is, what it even stands for, what it means, and how important it is to your shop, just skim the surface and tell me about SEO and Etsy.
Okay. Etsy uses completely proprietary SEO. SEO that works for anywhere else will not work for Etsy. SEO stands for search engine optimization. And it's basically how a search engine knows what it's picking out will be what its person wants to buy. Kind of like if you go to your silverware drawer and you're like, I'm making spaghetti, so I need a fork. You're not gonna, and you open your drawer and it's all spoons. You're like, this isn't what I wanted. I'm not gonna get what I want. SEO is what you'd be like, all right, I need a fork. So you pick up a fork. You have your little drawer for forks.
Yeah.
And with Etsy, the name of the game is repetition. Repetition, 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 and knowing what customers call your items. If you can have your title, your description, and your tags all kind of say similar things, it's more cohesive, and the engine knows what you're actually looking for. If you title something and you're like door, and your description says this is a blue entrance, and your tag says blue, the search engine isn't going to know what you're talking about. It has no idea what your item is. Is it a door? Is it an entryway? Is it the color blue? What is it? It's not going to know. So if you title blue door, and in your description you put this is a blue door, and in your tags you put blue door, the search engine has a pretty clear idea that what you're selling is a door that is colored blue. So when a person is looking for a blue door, they type it in and they're like, oh, hey, I have that right here. And it pulls up your listing. If you can be repetitive in a way that makes sense, you'll have your listings right where they need to be. And the other part of that is knowing what your customers call your items, which sounds silly because, of course, they call it the same thing we call it. But that's not always true. And I think that that's really hard for a lot of sellers, especially artists, because what we look at as, I think I used this example in our last video, what a candle maker looks at as like a hand-poured, artisan, soy, lotus, scented, 3-wick candle. A customer wants a green candle.
Yeah.
You got to know what they're looking for, and you have to title things and call them common terms. Put it in the description. Be like, this is a hand-poured soy candle made from the sweat of fairies. Like, but In the title, put soy candle, 3-wick candle, hand poured candle. Break it down into things that people will actually call your item as a customer. And customers almost never understand things the way that a maker does.
Yeah.
So just learn what your people call your items specifically, especially if they're recommending it. If you can catch people recommending your items and how they speak about it, it'll help your SEO so much. A ton.
That makes a lot of sense. So the SEO it would be what somebody searches in. So like, say that I saw your image in Cricut Craft Life and I went to Etsy and I searched in cuss word mandala. Like that's what's going to pop up. It's not, I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. So in the title, you want the basics.
Mm-hmm.
In the description, you can put anything you want to, as long as you want to.
Yeah, but try to kind of use some of the similar words early on in the description if you can.
Yeah.
Like don't make that your whole description. It doesn't have to be that way. But if you can work those words into the first couple sentences, it's super helpful to your SEO. It only takes the first couple sentences into account.
That makes a lot of sense. So what would and I'm going to give you a minute to think about it if you need to. What would your number one tip, something that we haven't already covered, what would your number one tip be about SEO? Because I know that that's such a huge, huge part of people, just random people finding you. So maybe not your community, maybe not your mama, maybe not your best friend looking for you on Etsy, but just the whole wide world. What would your number one tip be about the SEO?
Don't stop messing with it.
Yeah.
Even if it's working, if it's working, you can do less. But if you notice that something isn't going the way that it's supposed to, or if your product isn't selling the way that you feel it should, keep working on it. SEO changes every day. And how the algorithms work change every day. So just being kind of stuck in it and you're like, well, these are the only tags that work and this is the only title that works. No, it's not. If you have a group, ask your group, hey, what would you call this? Hey, if you were calling your mom about this, what would you tell her? What would you call it to her?
Yeah.
And change it up. Give it a couple, it can take weeks for an SEO change to actually like shift. So give it time. But like once a month or so, split your Etsy up into little groups and look at what's doing good and what's not doing good. And change the things that aren't doing good. Give it a new shot. Give it new terms. Give it new stuff. A whole lot of people will tell you to renew your listings. Don't do that. That doesn't work anymore. That's not a thing. But change your terms. Change it up. If it's not working, change it. And a whole bunch of stuff is not going to work. My number one best-selling design, I changed the tags on it like last week because they were just getting stagnant.
Wow. And how long have you had that listing up? It's been
2 years almost.
Yeah.
It was about a month in when I went digital. So
you kept the design, you kept the listing, you just switched up the tags.
Yep. Everything else on the listing was all the same. My husband just got home.
That's okay.
Everything else on the listing stayed exactly the same. I just changed up the tags.
Okay. If you guys have any questions for Joey, go ahead and drop those. I see a couple that we will get to. Let me finish up. I think we're getting close to finishing up. What are your recommendations for a successful shop?
Don't give up. Keep messing with everything. And just give it time. Give it time. And when you find something that works, capitalize on it.
Yeah.
But just roll with it. Just keep going. Even if it's not 100% working, just keep going. There's a comment up there that I kind of wanted to address a little bit. It just says, I dread the handbook. It's like 9,000 pages. That's true. But But the pricing part, the guide to search, which covers a lot of SEO too, it's awesome. The guide to search, the pricing and fees and stuff like that, and any relevant rules. Like for me, a lot of my stuff is cuss word based, and there are special rules for cuss word products. So reading just the relevant stuff, but definitely 500% read the fees section. Read it, look at calculators, know how they're supposed to charge you, because otherwise it's just going to look like they're screwing you and you're going to be super unhappy when they're doing something they totally told you they were going to do.
Yeah.
So you gotta stand up for yourself and know what they're supposed to do so you can protect yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is a good question, and this is something that I've wondered. So how should you handle a shop that has various items? For example, if I want to sell home decor and tumblers.
You can have more than one shop, and some people prefer to do that. They just like to keep it separate. I personally sold different types of stuff, and I just used shop sections. And they let you split your shop up into sections, and it's fairly easy. And I personally like it because it's all in one place. But some people really do. They prefer to keep it separate. Etsy lets you do that, and you can totally have more than one shop if you want to. There's specific rules for that. You have to disclose that you have another shop, I think. But yeah, they'll totally let you have two shops if you prefer to keep it separate. But that's really just a personal preference thing.
Yeah. This question is, where can you go to find SEO keywords?
So the best place I've personally found to find keywords has been erank.com. It'll also grade your listings and do other stuff. Take what they say with a grain of salt as far as your listings go, but they do have lists of keywords that are fantastic. They're awesome. They're really good research.
Yeah.
And that's erank.com, I believe.
erank.com.
Yep.
Okay. So, is there anything else that you think is important to know? Oh, wait. Let me do this question. This is a good one. We've already skimmed over this, but just for somebody that's just tuning in, this is so important to me. Is Etsy worth it if you are just starting, or should you already have a decent customer base first?
I think it's almost better if you don't have a customer base. Moving your customer base and introducing them to a a new order system sucks. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. And customers generally get turned off by that.
Yeah.
You'll keep your loyals no matter what.
Yeah.
But it can be kind of a jarring experience. So if you don't have that customer base and you can get your first customers on Etsy and everybody knows that you have an Etsy and it's super consistent, that's awesome. It's totally worth it if you don't have one. If you do have a customer base, you can still do that. It'll still be fine. But it's totally still worth it if you don't have that customer base.
Yeah. How do you feel? What is that? That's an
Marmalade.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way about eRank. The keywords and some of the research is good. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But take the grading with just don't take the grades that they give you as the most important thing. I think the cuss word mandala, it has a D on Marmalade and a C+ on eRank. Yeah.
And that's your number one seller.
Yeah. I've sold a few thousand of those.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay. How would you suggest to grow your community if you already have an Instagram that is kind of stagnant?
Change it up. What you've been doing isn't working, and what you can do is limitless. You can have engagement posts where you ask your people questions and you're like, hey, what did you call your grandma? And it's just fun. It's just, and you get to know your people, and they engage with you and they see your stuff more often because, like you said, when you comment on a shop's Instagram, you tend to see that shop more often. So if you can get people to engage with you, they tend to see you more often. And with Instagram, that's awesome. You can share so much. You can share your listings and you're like, hey, I've got this cool shirt. And then you can also share it behind the scenes where you're like, hey, check out how I'm making this shirt.
I love
Bam.
those. Yes,
And
I love
you're
those.
like, watch me weed this shirt with this video. And you can do so much on there, which is extra work, but that will pay for itself 10 times over.
I love that. That's what we had done, a video with Jump Rope talking about adding value to your content by showing your community, which would be like on Instagram, on how you make things. It's so interesting. If I didn't have a Cricut machine, I would love to know how somebody made shirts. Also, another thing that I would like to add is giving back to your community, like initiatives, coupons. Do you say coupon or coupon? Coupons, giveaways, initiatives. What's the returning customer? Like if you give a returning customer 10% off their next purchase, or just, you don't have to give your stuff away, but you can give them initiative to purchase with you. Do you agree with that?
Yep. And statistically speaking, it's cheaper to keep a customer than it is to get a new one.
Really?
So, yeah. Well, in most cases,
yeah.
I'm sure some people it's not, but it's usually cheaper, time and money and investment wise, to keep a customer coming back, to keep them happy, using a combination of having good service, having good products, having good sales, having good engagement. It's cheaper to do that and keep loyal customers coming back and referring you to other people, than it is to constantly be trying to find new customers here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. I've never thought about that. Has anybody told you that you favor Billie Eilish?
No.
Okay. Because right now
though, so
you've got the total Billie Eilish vibe. I think it's because I can see your blue hair at the top, and
it's messy.
You just got, I don't know, it's just you. Okay, so how should we deal with the bad reviews?
First off, never respond to a bad review when you get it. Ever. Don't do it. Just don't. When you get a bad review, turn your phone off for a little bit. Because you're going to be mad, and that's normal. It's normal to get your feelings hurt. That's perfectly fine. And when I get a bad review, I get upset. I want to message you back. I want to be like, but why? But what can I do better? But what can I fix? What did I do? Do you hate me?
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to make them be like, wow, she's really serious about this. This is very professional. No, they're going to think I'm crazy. And they're going to like complain about me. Yeah. So just when you get a bad review, turn your phone off for a little bit. If you can fix it, if you can say something to or about this transaction that you can spin it in a positive way to the next customer who's reading your reviews, do that. Say, I'm really sorry, or it's unfortunate. If you're not an I'm sorry person, there are some people that are dead set against ever saying I'm sorry. You can say, it's unfortunate that you weren't happy with whatever aspect of this purchase. I'll be taking your opinion into account for this. And if it is something that you can fix, then you can move forward with it and be like, I'm sorry, that was not a good thing. I'm going to fix it. And if it's just a customer who's just going to be mad, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they're just going to be upset, then just let it roll off your back. If there's nothing you can fix, let it roll off your back. Don't respond. If you respond to a review on Etsy, a negative review, it locks it in forever. Don't do it unless you're 110% sure that you can turn this complaint into something awesome.
Oh, wow.
And if there's no response that's going to make it better, then no response is all that's needed.
Yeah.
And just let it roll off and it just move forward. But if it is something that you need to kind of take seriously, which sometimes happens, I had a design that got a bad review and I realized that she was not wrong. My lines were way too thin and it wasn't cutting correctly.
Yeah.
So I fixed it, and now I've gotten more good reviews on that. And that took a little bit of, I guess, kind of knowing better and confidence, because it's easier to say you're wrong when you're confident in what you're doing.
Yeah.
But that all comes with it. But once you get a bad review, just put your phone down for a little bit. If you can make it better, make it better. And if you can't, then just move forward. And that's okay. It's okay to not respond. It's okay to get bad reviews.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. That's good advice. How do you get people to review your shop? Does sending messages to customers after purchase help?
Some people will say that it does. I personally don't, because a lot of times those messages get marked as spam, and that's not a thing that you want to happen.
Yeah.
Personally, you can send a little message that gets sent to your buyer every time they purchase something. I just put something in there that's honest. Good reviews really help me out. It's very important. If you are impressed with how I've done, then feel free to leave me a great review. It's really important to not offer discounts, freebies, whatever, in exchange for a good review. If you do that, you will get kicked off of Etsy. It's not good. You can give all customers a discount. You're like, hey, thanks for purchasing. Here's 10% off your next one. That's great. You can't be like, thanks for purchasing. If you leave me a review, here's 10%. You'll get a 10% off code. You can't do that. Very bad. They don't like. Not a fan.
Yeah. Okay. So you cannot buy good reviews.
Yeah. Just gently remind your customers, hey, good reviews are good for me. They help me create more stuff. They help me do better. They help me know what I'm doing is working. And if you want to leave a good review, do it. Don't hound people, because that'll backfire.
Yeah. And Etsy sends out a reminder, and I only know this as a consumer, but Etsy will send out a reminder to review the product. I don't know how many days after, but they're like, hey, you bought this. Would you like to leave a review? So Etsy's got your back on that too. Yeah. As far as the reminder goes, they'll send out an email.
If you mail out products, if you actually mail things out, having I know the Cook sticker company.
Yeah.
I know they have cute little stickers that have little stars, and they say leaving us a great review is super helpful, and they're just cute little stickers, and you just right onto your package. Fancy. You just slap a sticker right on there, and you've got a cute little reminder for your customer. Some people will put it in a cute little order slip.
Yeah.
And they'll just be like, thanks for your purchase. Please leave us a review if you are in love with what you bought. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. That's awesome.
Jackie said, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you. Jackie said, I include a card with each order thanking them for their business and asking for a review. So just like a general reminder of, we would love to. A shout out to XOXO. I love them, by the way. You can find them on, they have a Facebook group. It's XOXO, and they have the cutest stickers in the whole wide world. They're my favorite sticker company ever.
They have little mailman stickers.
They're so cute.
To your postal office. Oh, they're so adorable.
I love them. I want you to know that all across the United States, I mail out 100 tumblers a month through the Patreon group and almost 400 small gifts a month. And I get messages from all across the world that just say, hey, my mailman told me to tell you thank you. And it's just the sweetest little thing. It just says, hey, mailman, you're an important part of my small business. Thank you. So even just Joey said, that's part of your branding. That's part of your marketing. And you will get known for even the smallest little details that you do, including with your Etsy shop. So I think it's important to remember that with the marketing and branding, that you continue to represent yourself and do those small things throughout your entire career. And I think that goes with all aspects of life.
Somebody just commented that they do handwritten thank you notes. That's awesome. If you can make it super personal, that's even better. When I do my sticker packages, I don't have one here because we have stickers suspended right now. But when I do sticker packages, I hand letter their name on the envelope, opposite the shipping label. And I've gotten more good reviews about that than about the stickers.
Really? They just, yeah. They just love.
People post pictures of their envelopes, and the stickers will still be just in them, and I'm like, that's.
And that's free advertising. Yep.
But they love it. So.
Yep. That is totally free advertising. So somebody had asked about earlier, and if you'll go back, Joey had covered paid ads, but even that like you said, is free advertising if they tag you on Instagram or Facebook or whatever platform you use. There's another. This question says, is it important to have a catchy short Etsy name?
I think it's important to have an easily spellable name more than anything else. Because Etsy is all about typing.
Yeah.
And if your name is like sweet, like
Marmalade.
Yeah, marmalade, but you spell it marmalade, then they're gonna search marmalade and they're gonna find somebody else.
Yeah.
So having a name that's easily discernible, that kind of sets you apart, is way, way, way more important than it being like short and catchy. If it's easy to remember, that's even better. But it's definitely important. You want to have a name that they're not accidentally going to find somebody else.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's good advice. Okay, I think that's all of our questions that we have so far. And if you guys have any more questions for Joey is my go-to. She has been an admin for me for 2 years. We will be 3 years old in December. And Joey has been with us almost since the beginning. And so I have watched her success from the start, and it has been absolutely amazing. Joey's Etsy shop is Warhorse. So spell it out for me.
War like battle, WAR. Horse like a pony, HORSE. Warhorse Design.
All right. And I'm also going to, I wrote that down. To remind myself, I'm going to include that in the description. If you guys want to, I'm not telling you to go buy all of Joey's things, although you're welcome to. But if you would like to see a good example of what a good storefront looks like, and how, go ahead.
I just saw a comment on here that says, how do you handle people copying your designs?
Yeah.
And if I can hop up on my soapbox for 2 minutes.
You got 2 minutes.
Okay. When people steal designs, and I say steal very, very conservatively, when designs are stolen from designers, I don't handle it. There is no handling it. It feels like getting stabbed. It sucks. Because, and I know that other artists might not feel that way. Other artists might not mind sharing everything for free, and that's great for them. But I hand draw almost all of my stuff. I pour myself into it. I pour my time into it. I pour my education about art into it. I pour everything that I have into it. And then to see it get traded around for free because somebody thought it was pretty kind of hurts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's super rampant in the Cricut community, and it's getting better. It's getting so much better. So many people are starting to know artists as people, as parents, as small businesses, the same way that they would anybody else. You wouldn't want somebody to walk up, take your sign, and be like, well, my sister likes this sign, so I'm going to give it to her.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that with a bike. So doing it with the design is very, very similar. With the money from my shop, I contribute to my household. I contribute to my family and all that stuff. And it matters. And it's my heart and my soul. And it really, really, really hurts a lot. A lot. So when it does happen, because it happens a lot. When it does happen, in the beginning, I got super mad. I wanted to tell my group to like attack these people. And I wanted to be angry, but that doesn't work. And nobody ever learned better by having people treat them like that. Nobody ever says, wow, all these people are calling me names. Maybe what I did wasn't right. Nobody thinks that way. They're just like, well, they're being rude, so I'm going to just share this with everybody because they're being rude already to me. So now when it does happen, I like to send the person sharing it a little message saying, hey, I drew that. I would really appreciate it if you would understand and help me out and delete it and not share it. Yeah. I'm a small business and I would appreciate it. And 9 times out of 10, that person's like, wow, I didn't know that. I'll take it down. I'll delete it. Thank you for letting me know, which is
Yeah.
great. That's the point. The point is educating people, not screaming and yelling at people like sometimes we want to, but that doesn't help anybody. And it helps people when they learn better, when they start seeing that, hey, this actually harms another small business. It harms another mother with children with buying groceries and stuff like that.
Yeah. When you know
and
better,
I do not comment on there. I don't comment on there. I'll comment on there that I sent them a message, but I will not call somebody out publicly for it anymore. I kind of want to sometimes, but that's just the petty. And you got to rein it in. You got to be the professional, and sometimes you have to teach people, and it's better to teach people and them to improve in the future and for everybody to work together than it is to be petty and yell and scream.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Jackie said she says she got it. Someone said you don't have copyright to it.
That's a super complicated thing.
Yeah.
There are some designs and how we treat designs, especially in Cricut, that are not copyrightable at all. Things like writing a couple words out, like "this is my dog" in Arial is not, it's not unique. It's not authorship. It's just something. So if somebody else writes it in Arial, it doesn't matter. You can't protect yourself. But with some things like hand-drawn pieces, hand-created pieces, hand lettering, stuff like that, things that aren't realistically copyable in the exact same way, that would be copyright protected. And then you have registration and all of that, and that's a whole other thing. But this kind of comes back to, just because it might be legal doesn't make it okay.
Right.
Sometimes it's inevitable. Like if I draw a tree and you draw a tree, you didn't copy me. We just both drew a tree.
Yeah.
But if I draw a tree and then you take my drawing of a tree and put it on a shirt, then yeah, you did.
Yeah. Or trace it even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and designers love. I don't know a single designer that doesn't love giving away freebies of designs that we set aside for freebies.
Yeah.
I do freebies every month. I did like 6 freebies this month. I love freebies, but I love freebies that I set aside to be freebies.
Yep.
They serve a purpose.
Yes. Angela says, I think people need to understand that even without a copyright or trademark, there's still intellectual property rights for things that are designed by an artist. And I think that we just have to support each other in this crafting community. When you guys see posts like, hey, can somebody clean this up for me? And it's a design that's on a t-shirt that is from a thumbnail from an Etsy shop. Things like that are not okay. They're discouraged. And that's where we say that is stealing from an artist.
Yeah. Anytime you're confused about it, legally or not, I just tell people to switch it out. Don't say SVG, say bicycle. And if you wouldn't take that bicycle, or you wouldn't help somebody else take that bicycle, then you're like, okay, well, if I wouldn't do it with the bike, I probably shouldn't do it with this artwork. And not so much just because it's illegal, because there's lightning's not going to come out of the sky and strike you. That's not a thing. I might not even know it, but sometimes there is a right and a wrong. And most people don't understand. Like, I didn't understand the concept of owning an image until I got to where I had that relevant to my life. I didn't understand. I would not have known. I traced things when I first got my Cricut. Not a whole lot, but I didn't know until somebody taught me, which totally changed my perspective. That's why I will say, hey, I did this. This is how I use it. And I would really appreciate it if we could work together. When designers and crafters work together, we both get exactly what we want. Y'all get awesome images. Y'all get awesome designs. We get respect and a business, and we all work together, and we get to have more stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. It's a win-win. It's just we have to respect each other and support each other. So Totally agree. Well, we have just scratched the surface on Etsy, but I hope that this has given you the confidence to go ahead and start up your shop. If you want those 40 free referrals, we do not allow people to advertise in the group. So if you know a friend, family, neighbor that has an Etsy shop, they have the ability to give you 40 free listings. If you don't have anybody or you don't want anybody to know that, when I first started out, nobody knew that I even had a crafting group or did hand lettering or did this and that. So if you just want to remain anonymous, shoot Joey a message and she will give you the referral to give you those 40 free listings. So thank you, Joey, for joining me.
Anytime. And I'll be in the comments answering questions, all that good junk if y'all have any.
Yes, and you guys can, Joey is an admin of mine, like I said, and so she can help you if you guys feel like there is theft in the group. Just report the post and we will take a look at it. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and thank you to Joey, and we will see you guys later.